Philadelphia Eagles 2024 coaching staff under Nick Sirianni has been finalized, and coming up on today's Eagles. Now, I'm going to hand out my coaching staff grades. A lot of turnover on the staff for Sirianni going into the 2024 campaign. And then also on the back end, we're going to open up the floor, take some questions from our loyal subscribers. A lot of pertinent questions coming in because NFL Combine is next week, NFL free agency, second week of March, NFL draft at the end of April, and what is a massive offseason for the Eagles. But first, if you're pumped up for the draft as well as free agency, I always love this period because as somebody who's on air, content creator, sports broadcaster, whatever you want to call me, these are the moments that you live for. And 2024 has been off to an awesome start for me. National championship between Michigan and Washington. I was there in Houston covering that. Then I went to Las Vegas to cover the Super Bowl. We interviewed Britton Covey, Jordan Mailata, Brian Baldinger, and more. And now I'm going to the NFL Scouting Combine. And this allows us to forget about what happened at the end of 2023, but you start to get a feel for who the Eagles might take in the draft, who they might sign in free agency. I love the NFL offseason, and a big reason why the NFL salary cap has gone up to $255 million. The NFL pretty much has a 10-month-a-year calendar. The only slow months really June and July, and then at the end of July, training camp gets underway. So if you're pumped up for this offseason, hit that thumbs up icon like the video. All right, let's take a look at this Eagles coaching staff. It is officially finalized as of Friday. New Eagles coaches. These are all new names who will join the staff under the head man in Sirianni as he goes into year 4 of his 5-year contract. Vic Fangio going to be the Eagles defensive coordinator. Kellen Moore going to call the plays on the offensive side of the pill. Christian Parker, pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach. Clint Hurt, senior defensive assistant and the defensive line coach. He used to be the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator under Pete Carroll. Roy Anderson is the cornerbacks coach. Joe Casper, safeties coach. Bobby King is going to lead the inside linebackers, which is a really important position with what Vic Fangio wants to do. Doug Nussmeier has decades of experience in coaching up quarterbacks. He's a Kellen Moore guy, and he's one of the coaches that has a lot of ties to Kellen Moore. Few of those on this staff. He was with Moore, with the Chargers, as well as with Dallas, helping to develop Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. Can he get Jalen Hurts back on track? Tall test. I think he's going to be able to do it because I believe in Hurts. And then Kyle Valero is the offensive assistant. So you look at all those new Eagles head coaches, and really the big takeaway for Philadelphia here is that coming off the Super Bowl appearance in Super Bowl 57 against Kansas City, still not over it, the Eagles lost Shane Steichen as their OC, and they lost Jonathan Gannon. Think about what both of them did in their debut seasons as head coaches in this league. Shane Steichen was a win away from winning the AFC South with what was, I thought, a bottom 5 roster. Maximized that team and had Gardner Minshew as his quarterback pretty much all year. And then Jonathan Gannon did not have a good roster at his disposal. But Cardinals went into Philadelphia. They handed the Eagles a massive loss, which pretty much gave the Cowboys the NFC East title and had that team playing really, really hard. They were a competitive team. So when you lose both of them, Eagles had to replace both of their coordinators. And Nick Sirianni opted for coordinators who didn't have a lot of experience. He had Denard Wilson in-house, still would have been inexperienced, but probably a better call than Sean Desai, who had 1 year play calling experience. And then he hired Brian Johnson, elevated him from quarterbacks coach to OC. I saw why he did that because familiarity with the organization, relationship with Jalen Hurts. But I thought that both Desai and Johnson, for a team ready to compete for a Super Bowl in a city that brings about pressure like Philadelphia, they were in over their skis. But the inexperience at the coordinator spots is going to change drastically in 2024. Vic Fangio has been in the league for decades, calling defenses, and Kellen Moore has called multiple top 5 offensive units with the Dallas Cowboys before going to the Chargers last year after pretty much getting fired by the stiff that is Mike McCarthy. As for the returning coaches for the Eagles, Nick Sirianni obviously coming back. Couple of days there where we weren't sure what was going to happen after the Eagles got blown out by the Bucs in the wild card round. Michael Clay just got a contract extension as special teams coordinator. He was on the hot seat coming off of 2022, but redeemed himself, had a really good year coaching. in 2023. Eagles really like him. Jamal Singleton, running backs coach and assistant head coach. Kevin Patullo stays as the pass game coordinator, associate head coach. He's looked at as a rising star in the coaching business. Jeff Stoutland, run game coordinator, best offensive line coach in the NFL. And then Jason Michael, tight ends. Aaron Moorhead stays as the wide receivers coach. Jeremiah Washburn, defensive ends and outside linebackers. And then lastly, Joe Panunzio, assistant special teams coordinator. Tyler Brown, special teams assistant. And then Eric Dickerson, offensive quality control. So those are all of the coaches on this Eagles coaching staff in 2024. So my grades for all of them. The Kellen Moore hire, I never had him on my list as Brian Johnson replacement because he still had a job. He was employed by the Los Angeles Chargers. If he was free, we would have put him on that list because, as I just noted, he's coached multiple top 5 offenses that have had success in throwing it as well as running it. I thought it was pretty telling how he ended his playing career right away, jumps into coaching at a position of importance, coaching quarterbacks for the Cowboys. Then after that, he's the OC and had immediate results. And I'm going to give that a B grade because I like the pre-snap motion, the modern-day concepts, the vertical routes, the success in running the football, the experience in calling plays I think is going to be big. And he elevated Dak Prescott, who I honestly think is pretty mid, to play an excellent football and streamlined his development. We'll see if he can do the same with Jalen Hurts. I think that was a good hire by Nick Sirianni. I've started to warm up to it after being a little bit lukewarm from the jump. But the Eagles were 32nd in pre-snap motion rate. Kellen Moore's going to do that a lot. And with the weapons on this team, I think this Eagles offense can be dangerous and explosive in 2024. Vic Fangio, another B grade. I think he's a little bit older. He's an old school guy where some younger players will tune him out. There's some chatter about the offenses around the NFL being able to catch up to his scheme. But I thought last year, with a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the football for Miami, it was a patchwork defense, and Vic Fangio made it work. He had guys getting after the quarterback. Their sack percentage as a team was really good. He was without Jalen Ramsey at the start of the year. And Vic Fangio, I think, is going to be able to elevate this defense, and he's just not going to look as overwhelmed as Sean Desai. And I still like this defensive system because it's worked. It's been proven to be successful around the NFL. And I think in joining a young coach like Nick Sirianni, Sirianni's going to be able to help him out a little bit. In fact, at the end of the year, it wasn't the Dolphins' defense that was the problem. Mike McDaniel is looked at and pegged as an offensive genius, and that offense stunk down the stretch. Special teams, you give that extension to Michael Clay, that's a B+ because the Eagles' special teams unit was really good. Jake Elliott, awesome. Britton Covey has been the best punt returner in the game the last year and a half. Coverage was really good. Blocking really good. And then the assistant hirings. You always have trust in a Kellen Moore and a Vic Fangio who are experienced, have called plays in this league for a long time, to great levels of success, to make quality hires. And I thought they were able to do that. Joe Woods would have liked that. Mike Caldwell would have liked that at linebackers. But Vic Fangio, he knows a good coach when he sees one. Kellen Moore, the same can be said for him. And then you hold over some of the offensive assistants on the Sirianni staff who, in 2022, they were a really, really good offense. So grade the Eagles coaching staff for me, A, B, C, D, or F. If you don't like my grades, you can willingly type F Chase down in the comment section right now. We'll get to your questions right around the corner, but first, today's Eagles Now sponsored by GameTime. If you're looking for last-minute tickets to a sporting event, a comedy show, a concert, make sure you download the GameTime app. Prices drop as the event gets closer, and you're guaranteed to get in the door at the lowest price guaranteed. It's a free download, and you get $20 off when you use the code EaglesChat. If you can't make a decision until the last moment, GameTime is perfect for that because you can get in the door with a really affordable rate, and you can see what you'll be seeing from your seats. What's also cool about the GameTime app, you simply swipe like you would do on Tinder back in the day. I was never a big Tinder guy. I'm a big GameTime guy, though. And you swipe for some flash deals, and you can see some of the really, really good deals that Game Time has to offer. Sixers tickets, Flyers tickets, Phillies tickets for spring training, as well as in the regular season coming up. But also, again, I'm a big music guy. I love going to comedy shows. That's like a secret passion of mine. Game Time has it all. We'll put that information down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. We appreciate Game Time for making today's show possible. I'm looking at the comment section here. Lamont Lancaster, B-. Ryan Rowe, B+. Brian Bidding, B to a C for his grades on the coaching staff. Speaking of our viewers, see what they have to say here. Dennis Designs, $10 super chat. Chase, do you think that we sign Devontae Smith soon? And will that put a damper on free agency? AJ is a male diva. He knows it, but we love him anyway. Look, with AJ Brown, give him all the credit in the world. He didn't have to call in a WIP. He didn't have to defend himself or his teammates. To me, that's showing leadership. So I give him props for that. As for Devontae Smith, going into year 4, Eagles have the ability to exercise his 5th-year option, which would put him under team control the next 2 years. It gives him guaranteed money going into year 5, and that's a player that you have to keep around. You finally hit on a wide receiver in the draft after Howie Roseman missed on a lot. Shout out J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Shout out Jalen Reagor, both bums. Devontae Smith is not a bum. He should be a core piece for this team for many years moving forward. You can't lose a guy like that. Reed Barkus, and by the way, Devontae Smith, they can exercise his 5th-year option this year. Reed, our guy, how do the Eagles prove that they are still a Super Bowl caliber team after the terrible spin out at the end of the year? Shout out Chip, lighting the wrong end of the cigar at Cigar Art in Dallas. So Chip, you could go to Cam here, and you could turn on your mic so that you can hop on the show. And you can also answer this question. I saw when Reed, who is one of your great friends from when you were growing up, sent the super chat in, your face was glowing. You had a big smile on your face. You were very happy about it. We'll get to how the Eagles can avoid the spin out and get over that. But we did go to a cigar lounge here in Dallas when Reed was in town. And look, I smoked some cigars in my day. Chip has not. Wanted to introduce him to the scene. I was with him for his first cigar. Everything went well. The second time, you accidentally lit the mouthpiece. It happens. It happens.
You know, that type of thing happens. The first place we went to, they did it all for me.
Yeah.
You know, this second place, awesome place, by the way. Really appreciate Chase for taking us out there, but, you know, it was a little bit of a disaster. But you know what? We got there in the end. That's all that matters. We finished strong, baby. We finished strong.
So the Eagles did not finish strong in 2023. They're looking to rebound in 2024, just like producer Chip is going to try to rebound after lighting the wrong end of the cigar. That's what you call a segue right there and a transition. So, Reed, how do the Eagles prove that they are still a Super Bowl caliber team after the spin out? Look, we talked with Britton Covey, Super Bowl Radio Row. We talked with Jordan Mailata. Both of them said the same thing when I asked them what happened last year. Look, what happened? It was a disaster, no doubt about it. Everybody saw it. There are high expectations in Philadelphia. But, Chip, as we know, on offense, you still have Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. We'll see about Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson. And then defensively, this is still a defense that needs some work, but still has some really, really solid players. It's tough to gauge how bad the Eagles were defensively because the scheme was so awful.
Yeah, and in terms of how they can prove that they're still a Super Bowl caliber team, Reed, I think it comes down to this first half of the season, right?
Yeah.
You know, last year they start 10-1, a lot of close games, people calling them frauds, whatnot. They got to come in. You know, the first few games, new coordinators again. You know, it might be shaky, but I want to see them pummel the bad teams, right? Take care of business where you need to, and honestly, at the end of the day, I think people won't be satisfied nationally about the Eagles until they win a playoff game.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what it comes down to. Once we see them win a playoff game or two, if they make another run, then people will finally, you know, stop talking about it. But until then, I feel like it's always going to be a thing that should be like, oh, but remember last year.
Right.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah. You win a playoff game and the pressure kind of subsides a little bit. I'm seeing a lot of reports that the Eagles could open up the season against the Cleveland Browns. That defense, that's tough to start off with. So we'll see what happens. Andrew Nathan, next up. The fact that the salary cap increased so much, I believe, makes it easier for Howie to post June 1 cut James Bradbury. I would like Howie to sign Kenny Moore and possibly trade a fifth for Justin Simmons. Wow. Andrew Nathan, that's some good stuff right there. So, post June 1, James Bradbury, possible. The issue with that, you got to eat a lot of money still in 2024, and then in 2025, eat some more money, which won't really matter. Now, you could go spin zone and say, well, Chase, salary cap is just going to continue to go up. That's technically true. And I know that the salary cap is a real thing, but it's kind of fake too, right? Like there are ways to massage it, maneuver it, move dollars, just like an old school drug lord back in the day, and pull off these financial gymnastics. Now, you got me excited. A fifth for Justin Simmons. I'm all in. Former All-Pro. I like Kenny Moore a lot. He was a stud at cornerback for Indianapolis under Gus Bradley, and we know that the Eagles need a fortified cornerback opposite of Darius Slay. There's no question about it. Cool Reigns, thoughts on trading for Derrick Brown from the Panthers. Derrick Brown's a solid player. You know, I'll take a look at his numbers here specifically. Right now, a defensive tackle who is really good. He's only 25 years old, and that's a player who takes up a lot of real estate on the interior. Here's the thing, though, Cool Reigns. You got to see what you have from Jordan Davis, from Jalen Carter, and Milton Williams. If you let Fletcher Cox go, those are your three defensive tackles who are young, who you want to see if they can be building blocks for you. Derrick Brown, 7th overall pick in 2020. Really good player. Now, not a big sack guy. 2, 3, 1, and 2 throughout his career. But for a nose tackle that size to have more than 100 tackles in 2023, he was a Pro Bowler. That's impressive. He can bat down balls at the line of scrimmage, 4, 4, 7, and 6 in his first 4 years in the NFL because he's just a massive dude, man. He's got some great size, 6'5", 320. But because the Eagles have invested first-round picks in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter back-to-back years, I don't think Derrick Brown's going to happen. Matt Levinson bringing the heat right here. Love the jersey. Love the background. All these reports had me worried that A.J. Brown will eventually want out. I hope he's an Eagle for the rest of his career. But due to my friend being a Titan fan, he told me A.J. is like this. A lot of wide receivers are like this for whatever reason. It's so funny that position, it seems as though, brings about drama queens. Now, for A.J. Brown, he went on WIP. He called WIP. He said, I want to be here. I'm happy with the situation. And he explained himself to a certain degree. I have a friend too, my boy Drew Points, Springfield, Illinois, Auburn football legend, who when the Eagles traded for A.J. Brown said, just wait, some of these dramatics are going to happen. And then when A.J. Brown started balling, Drew hit me back. He played wide receiver at the high school and college level, and he said, man, A.J. Brown is just terrorizing us. He owns Tennessee, especially when he went off against Vrabel's defense in 2022. With special players, you just got to find a way to deal with these antics. That's what it comes down to right now. I'm not worried about A.J. Brown demanding a trade because he said he wants to stay. Andrew Nathan, Chase, Eagles just added Austin Watkins, has a glowing endorsement by Josh Cribbs, but could you see how he's spending more than $8 million on a wide receiver 3, Mooney, Bourne, or maybe pay Ridley for 1 year? Great question. We talked about Darnell Mooney a little bit earlier this year. I think that he would be a terrific option for the Eagles. Year 1, year 2, before Luke Getsy took over as offensive coordinator, he had a lot of really impressive production. Big play threat, 4.3, 840-yard dash in the pre-draft process. And then Luke Getsy comes and his production really did just dip dramatically. I think he's in line for a 1-year deal between $7 and $10 million. Are the Eagles going to want to pay that much money? Or will they address wide receiver 3, first round, second round, and you can get that player at a fraction of the price more long term? That's something to keep in mind. Kendrick Bourne is a really good player who put up solid production with New England the last couple of years when he was healthy, even though that Patriots offense was dog shit. And Austin Watkins has some good size to him, but he's been a journeyman up to this point for a reason. Make sure you subscribe to us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Daily coverage of the Birds going to the Scouting Combine next week. You don't want to miss our content. Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni going to be speaking with the media on Tuesday. We'll bring you the latest right here.